Hey everybody, Tom here with Hidden Beats, and today we were talking with Fernando from the Manic Boys and Girls Club. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you, man?
Pretty good. It's a nice day, and well, actually, my AC is working overdrive today, so I actually have to wear a sweater inside, which is crazy. But it's a nice day to get to meet some new people and pick your brain and kind of see
Absolutely.
what you do.
Thanks for chatting.
So we're here to obviously talk about your music and the duo that you guys have. But for
Mhm.
those who are new, can you give a little introduction about yourself?
So the Manic Boys and Girls Club is basically myself and my sister. And I feel like it's kind of something that we've been doing forever, kind of unofficially. But I say this band is about, started maybe about like 2019, 2020. We started writing songs together, a little more like focused, and put together an EP. And we're just about a month away or so from it coming out. So
Nice.
it's been a long time coming, kind of.
hmm So, I mean, my first question is the name. I'm sure you get asked that a lot, but how did you guys come up with that?
Um, well, we want to make it like it's not just about us. Well, first of all, when we play live, like our loud shows, we've got like different variations of what the band is like. So when we're playing in the States, we've done some US shows. I'll put together some friends and some, like a rhythm section with some like an American drummer and American bass player. We're here, similar situation here in Toronto. We've done that. We've kind of circulated through different players. So it's like a club in that way that there are like many people that make it what it is, including the fans. So and as cliche as it is, it's like without the people in the audience, there's like no show. There's zero energy.
Mhm.
So it's just about kind of that feeling, and then man, playing music, it doesn't get more manic. There are like so many ups and downs from like you are like, on top of the world on one night, and then the next night you just like you're playing a city you've never played before. You're just like, oh
Mhm.
man.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
like a
it makes
reality
sense.
check.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. Now, what was the early inspiration? Like that, how'd you guys kind of get started with the whole music thing?
I think it started as just like my parents getting us into music or like music lessons. The classic like kind of keep you out of trouble, keep you busy kind of thing.
Mm.
They probably never imagined that it was gonna, take a toll on our lives the way it did.
Yeah.
But I think it was something as harmless as that, just like kind of like some instruments in the living room. And my family's like totally not musical. We were the first generation.
Okay.
But they kind of got this idea of like, hey, let's do something. So, like the kids. I mean, we have a third brother who's also a musician.
Okay.
So it was kind of like that. And then, it just I feel like this band has been like the same band when we were like kids in the living room, like playing around like the Christmas tree with like guitar and like, drums and whatever. Um, so yeah, that's kind of like that was the beginning.
Okay. So, who do you think is the most influential on your guys' like sound that you are trying to put out?
I don't know. That's a tough question because we're also pretty different. Like like our I think we've got a pretty wide spectrum of sound where it's like it goes from like the sweetest female vocal piano to the loudest like screaming loud guitars and male vocal. Like so we could kind of do either end of that and everything in between.
Yeah.
Um, so I like so much of everything that that encompasses, from like I love really hard, like loud bands. Like I love the energy. Like even still, they're pretty old school, but like I went to a Deftones concert and they still blow my mind. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
love like bands like that, but I also love, I don't know, like Billie Eilish and whatever is out there. I'm like, wow, that's a really good song.
Mhm.
So I don't know if there's a specific thing, but I will say that like life events are kind of like what inspire a lot of the music.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know if it's specifically a sound, but more just like the feeling, so that turns into whatever we, translate that in the studio, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So just like a lot of whatever's going on with us.
And I imagine that probably is what sets you apart, like makes you a little bit more unique than some other people in that sense too, because you have different life
I
experience.
don't know. Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, that is something to strive for, I suppose. And and it seems like it's working. You guys have a, I listened to some of the tracks beforehand. You guys have a really interesting sound. I like the flow and how everything kind of works in
Thank
its
you.
own almost chaotic way in a sense too, where you can
Yeah,
just go from many directions.
yeah. Definitely like showcase our imperfections and insecurities. But I think that's part of it, you know?
That's yeah, that's being an artist, I think.
Yeah.
So you have you talk about new music. We have the new single coming out on June 7th, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's Friday. Yeah.
So what's the story behind that one?
That song is like, um, it's one of those songs that took a long time. Like we really sat with it for a while. It's not, they're the songs that come together really fast in the rehearsal room, whatever. And it's like, it feels like they, write themselves. This was like, we have an idea and we kind of sit with it. And it's been like this unfinished thing in the back of our heads forever. So, it kind of, there's different moments in the song, and that also was written in different moments in our lives, so it starts like, it's like a total apology song for like the the less mature kind of like, you know uh I guess the looking back at like slightly um version of ourselves from the past that we're kind of like, oh no, that wasn't the
Yeah,
coolest thing to do or person to be.
I think we've all
um
for sure.
and then it kind of moves into um a more positive outlook, I think, by the end. So this is a perfect example of like, we just like had this mega, like it's got a pretty drastic tempo change in the song, and it's just, it may not make sense. And as many, maybe a bunch of people are like, oh, that's not a good idea, or that's not like, format or radio or whatever.
Mhm.
But it's just like, well, this is kind of like how we're feeling now. I think, what, it's like you kind of let go of your past and you try to work from now on and like the best version of yourself that you could be, and we just need to like focus on that in the future, and you know um don't repeat the mistakes that we make in life.
Yeah,
So I think
learning
that's,
from the past.
I don't know. That feels like it's as clear as mud, but
Yeah, I
that's
mean
it.
it's trying to express something that you might not necessarily be able to put into words on paper, but you can sing it out and have no problem with that.
That's really it, because a lot of times you kind of the song is just like full of regret,
Mhm.
looking back. And then, halfway through, you're kind of just like, all right, you gotta shake this off now because it's affecting your present and future. And it's just about kind of, forgiving yourself.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've had some of those experiences, so I know I could feel that energy from it.
Mhm.
So I'm curious what your process is like when you're putting together music. Do you guys have a unique writing experience, or how do you put it all together?
We kind of work on our own.
Okay.
We don't really like get in the room and try to write together. We kind of do our own thing, and then we like show each other and kind of develop each other's things. And sometimes we'll like shut each other's ideas down. Other times we'll sit with it. The good news is, like, being siblings, we're never like politically correct. And we're like, oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, we
Yeah.
might visit. Like, we'll just be cut to the chase and like get right to the point. Like, I'm totally not feeling that. Or my sister's like, totally not into something that I'm going for, whatever. Because I like was at a punk show and I was so inspired, and I was like, oh, we got to do something like,
Yeah.
I'm feeling like, like something super aggressive or whatever. Um, but so we all have our, we each have our outside influences and our like kind of like approaches, and we bring it into the room. But myself personally, I think my sister probably writes on the piano and like vocals, kind of like that. She's got a little setup at her place with like a little, microphone or whatever.
Mhm.
I never ever record things.
Okay.
It's a huge flaw, man. Like, and I'm totally aware of it. And and then I convinced myself it's like, it wasn't that good. If I couldn't remember it, it's like, yeah, it wasn't that good. It was probably something magical that I just like,
Hmm.
let go. But because I feel like I just get caught up in it, and then I have no patience, or it's just not my thing. I don't put together a track. I don't do, like, it's like a lyric and a melody, and that's it. And then everything else will just happen after, right? So I kind of just do that, and I may have it like, I'll put record it on my voicemail or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and then I'll kind of let that sit, and then I'll like have that forever in that state. And then from there it goes right to the studio. Like, there's no like, rough demoing or anything. But again, that's definitely not the right way of doing things.
I mean, I don't think there's a right or wrong way, really. If it if it's how it works for you.
Yeah, I just like I literally will just like noodle on guitar and vocal, and it's like if it sounds good in that state, you're probably onto something good, in my opinion. I mean, I've got a lot to learn still,
Yeah.
but I'm definitely not into like, you know, all the embellishments that go around the song, until it's time to produce it and record it.
Yeah.
It's like I think you can play any great song as a lullaby on an acoustic guitar and it'll probably stand, so that's what I strive for at least.
Yeah, I think that's a very good way to put it because if you can dumb it down just to that that basic knowledge there, then
Yeah.
yeah, and that makes sense for sure.
And if you're like totally bamboozled by this like sick production or this beat on it, it's like doesn't really mean much,
Hmm.
in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. What's your favorite part of the process then? You got the writing, you got the production, you got the live performances. They all kind of hold different pieces to certain people. So what's your
Yeah. I love playing live. It's got that, instant kind of fan connection.
mm,
Um, and I think my kind of uh little personal um superstition is going into the studio at about 80% prepared.
okay.
So I'll leave quite a bit of holes for like improv and whatever is kind of like the feeling in the room at the moment. And hopefully it doesn't backfire. And sometimes it's magical. And sometimes it's like, oh, I wish I could like sleep on this or like, come back to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely not like the most those maybe I have like a preparation problem. I'm not the most prepared again, but going to the studio once the song is written and ready to record and we're all pretty much like set with like our parts and what we're doing, it's never like we're just taking this idea and tracking it. There's always holes and room for something in the moment. So that's what we'll kind of that's really exciting because it's like the pressure's on and you're kind of like in the moment with whatever's
Hmm.
inspiring you. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and giving it room to grow too. That way something happens and
exactly.
it's right there and free for that space.
Exactly. So you're kind of like sometimes the producer's like, well, what about, what about this bridge? Like what's gonna happen here? And I'm like, I don't know, I'll figure something out. Like let's just like run with it and see how
Yeah.
we feel. And and like I said, sometimes you're just like, oh, that was magic. And it's like a selfish, like every time you hear it, you go back to that moment because it's so personal to you. And it's like a little tiny achievement.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
that's what, music is kind of, like playing off each other and being in the room and like that spontaneity. Right. So
yeah. Yeah, I think music it hits a little bit more when you have that you can look at someone, oh, they're going to do this. And so then you can play off of that and go back and forth. And
absolutely.
mhm.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious, how do you think your music has evolved? If we go back to like 2021's release of Blacked Out to
Mhm.
now, how have you grown in with your music?
Well, I think after playing live, you start thinking about the music in the live setting. So I think that's kind of like a big factor, right? Because um, you kind of imagine it as the 4 or 5 piece band on stage and the crowd and the emotion behind that in a live setting, maybe a little more than just like writing songs and recording them like during COVID.
Yeah.
So I think playing live kind of affects like the way we look at it. Um, yeah, how's it's evolved? I don't know. Kind of like figure out what worked or what didn't. I don't know.
A little
I
bit
don't know.
confidence in things and
Yeah, I mean, we're always like learning about ourselves and each other, and I don't know.
it's an
But
ever
we,
growing process for sure.
yeah, like I don't know. We kind of do our thing. We look down and kind of just like focus on what we're doing. Don't really look sideways too much. So there's not too much of an outside influence as we go forward because we don't really listen that much. But yeah, from personal experiences, would be like, you know, feeling, that you want to go kind of like more this direction or like this kind of like feel. And also traveling like always like inspires you because you discover like something band from like a region that we had no idea existed or
Yeah.
whatever that you kind of inspires you.
No, that makes sense too. So music being as crazy as it is, what do you do outside of music to, keep grounded or hobbies, things like that?
Oof. That's a good question. I don't know. We are. I feel like I'm like the boring guy that will always just be talking about music, and probably everyone like rolls their eyes at like, oh God, this guy again. But I really I love it. I love writing, and like I'll always be noodling like on a guitar on the couch or whatever. Like I'll annoy everyone around me because I've personally always, and it's not practicing. I should be way better than I am. I'm actually not even a great guitar player, but I've been playing like, this morning already, like, hours and hours. I'm just always kind of like noodling around. It's like I don't know, like a bad tick or something.
I mean,
So
if
not
it
too
works.
much else.
Honestly, though, you'd be surprised how many people have a similar answer to a question like that. Just they can't
Yes.
not have music going around somewhere. So
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I try to separate like, my apartment from our rehearsal room, but there's still they cross like
oh
like,
yeah,
I've always got a piece of gear in like my living room and whatever. Like it's just always around as
my
much as
wife
I try
hates
to separate it.
yeah, my wife hates me for that. Like I've got my little office here, but then I'll have camera equipment out in the living room, and she's doing laundry, pulling stuff out of my pockets. Like it's every
Yeah.
yeah. My she actually hates me for that sometimes. Get yelled at for leaving a bag
Yeah.
some. So the back half of my interviews, I always like to ask, some interesting questions that aren't exactly always music, but they definitely make you think a little bit more. And the first one I have is my favorite. What's one thing you think should be asked more in an interview that's not asked enough?
Ooh, it's a great question.
Yeah, it makes me think.
Um, Trying to think. I mean, you're a pretty great interviewer, man.
I appreciate that
Uh,
because I never think I'm that good.
trying to think if I was watching the interview, what do I want to know? Um, I love there's a few things that I personally gravitate to, and it's ghost stories,
Okay.
like tragic like disasters that happen on the road or like at shows. So I guess just like the crazy kind of like inside like tour stories I love, and like, there's always got to be like the supernatural in there for me. Because
Yeah.
like, I mean, we grew up in downtown Toronto in a very, very effing haunted house. So it's just such, I'm so fascinated by that, like growing up as a kid.
Yeah.
And yeah, like we recorded at a studio not that long ago. That was pretty creepy.
I mean, that sounds kind of fun. I'm in Ottawa myself, so I'm not too far away, but I've never had experiences of things like that. But my wife, I swear to God, she believes that every house built before a certain year has to be haunted for some reason. It's
Got it, man. Your wife's onto something.
yeah. So when we go buy a house, we're gonna have it saged or something like that just to make sure we're good to go. And
Yeah.
we always watch those like the ghost stories on YouTube and things like that.
Oh yeah.
They're
Yeah.
some of them I look at and like, that's fake or something. But then you get those couple that you just can't explain and you have no idea how that happened. Like creepiest thing
Yeah.
in the world, and you go, okay, well, damn it, okay,
Yeah.
weird shit out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I'm all about the ghost podcasts and all of that. I'm constantly listening.
Yeah, so those are always fun for sure. Now, I'm curious, what's
Hmm.
something on your go-to playlist that people wouldn't expect that you listen to?
Interesting. Um, well, let me take a look.
That usually people end up pulling up their playlist and going to like the last, listen songs and see what's there.
Let's try to think. So I've been listening to Sia, I guess, as a new release because I've had that been playing. So I guess that's new.
Okay.
Sia. I mean, there's like, I don't know if it's like unexpected, but the podcast, Otherworld, there's a ghost podcast for you. I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah, I don't know. Things that I guess we don't really sound like. It actually makes sense that it would be things that might be unexpected because we're like, especially you come out of rehearsal and there's like usually loud guitars going and things like that. So a lot of times I just want to kind of like mellow out to music that is not like that.
Yeah.
So and I mean like, everything from like background like lo-fi kind of deep house music, but like really ambient where it's like I don't really even know what I'm listening to. It's just kind of in the background. I have that going a lot just for like, I guess like sanity. But music I like and listen to, like there's always like the Cold War Kids, which I really like. I love that guy's songwriting.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. The new Kings of Leon was pretty cool. Kind of nice to hear again. They're back.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, like not that much besides like, stuff that's like going on the radio or whatever. Like I'm pretty because it's such wallpaper. Like there's so much garbage music
Yeah. Well, it's true.
that
It's all
that
there.
that is forced down our throats. So I just kind of like take it, right? Like it's like so bad, but it's like constantly what's playing. I don't really, I guess, make an effort to search for like inspiration in music.
Mhm.
So I guess that's why I end up just kind of like having this passive wallpaper in the background. But there are bands I like. Like I mentioned, like I like Deftones, I like the Cold War Kids, I like uh I don't know, like MGMT was a really cool band. I used to like them a
Yeah.
lot. Um, I don't know, the Strokes. There's something going back.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some good names there for sure. And like you said, music, there's so much out there. It's just not
Yeah,
worthwhile. I don't turn the radio on at all anymore. There's no I go directly to Spotify where I know I have a playlist that's set up that I know I like at least
yeah,
80% of the songs on there just because.
yeah, yeah.
And I find those random ones like so Dax just released a new one recently called The Real Man. And
Cool,
little ones like that are kind of go, oh damn it. That guy's the one of the best storytellers in music, I think, right now.
amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta like listen in more of that.
Yeah, he
That's
has and he has another one he did with what's his name now? Darius Rucker from Hootie and the Blowfish,
yeah.
where they did a collab to be a man. And
Okay,
the song itself, like they're such good songs. They're mellow songs. It's easy to
yeah,
listen to, but it's the story behind it. Those things are always fun when you randomly find them on Spotify, things like that.
yeah, yeah. I we were in Nashville for a couple of days, and I went and I was buying a couple of guitar pedals because that's the other unknown fact. I'm like a guitar effect addict,
Mhm.
and I was walking out of a this music shop in the morning, and I wanted to get this out of the way in the morning before I don't know what we were doing in the afternoon, but I was had to left on my own out of the hotel, went to this guitar shop in the open, picked a few things up, and I left. And for whatever reason, I missed my Uber back to the hotel, so I called for another. So now I'm getting an Uber that I wasn't supposed to be in because
Mhm.
I just missed that initial guy. So I get in this other car, not supposed to be in there, and the guy starts talking. He's like, "Oh, coming out of the music shop, cool. What do you do?" It's like, "Oh, I'll play, I'll play in a band, whatever." Um, Start talking. He's like, "Oh, where y'all from?" He's like, and I say I'm from Toronto, Canada. He's like, "Oh, cool." He's like, I play in a band, and my manager's in Kingston, Ontario. I
Oh
was
wow,
like,
okay.
"What are the chances?"
Yeah.
Start chatting. He's like, "Yeah, he plays in the Glorious Sons." I was like, "What?" And we know a couple of those guys from the
Yeah.
Glorious Sons. So I was like, "You've got to be kidding me." So now this driver that I wasn't even supposed to have, we end up like taking a selfie, texting it to the guys that we know in the band,
Hmm.
and like open this dialogue. Then drops me off. So he plays in a band out of Nashville that I guess one of the members of Glorious Sons manages and takes him out on the road a lot.
Yeah.
And he drops me off and he's like, "You gotta be kidding me." He's like, "I bartend at this hotel." And I was like, "What are the like?
Yeah.
This can't be coincidental. For whatever reason, we were supposed to cross each other's paths
Mhm.
in life, and now we're like, close friends online at least because he's in Nashville, but we chat all the time. I went to the bar that night, had a bunch of drinks because he was working. It was a Friday night, and it's like the craziest stories come out of like traveling and playing music. So it's like
Mhm.
there's it's priceless. You know what I mean? Like it's worth so much.
And the fact that you can just make a friend like that just kind of out of the blue is always so cool to see.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. Now, as the band and everything, what would your favorite late night show be to perform on?
Oh, I gotta say Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like there's just so many like the classic like performances you see on YouTube
Yeah,
from the Saturday Night
there's
Live
some
days.
killer ones on there for sure.
Yeah, man, Nirvana, Faith No More,
Mhm.
the Red Hot Chili Peppers like disaster performance, before John Frusciante was fired or whatever. I don't know if you've ever seen that one, but it's
I
painful to watch.
yeah. Yeah. It brings back those memories of, oh yeah, that might yeah, that was a rough one.
Yeah, so I think it would be, yeah, definitely SNL.
And it's funny, you're the first person to actually say SNL. Most people go for like Jimmy Fallon just because of kind of the musicality of what he does there.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
SNL has some iconic ones for
I
sure.
think there's something about it. Yeah.
Oh, I like that. That's good. Now, who plays you and your sister in the movie of your lives?
Ah, I don't know. That's a tough one.
That is a
Um, I don't know. Uh, a lot of people think my sister looks like Shakira, so I think they could cast Shakira for
I mean, at least she knows she has pipes and she can sing.
her.
That's so
And for me, I don't know. They gotta see like does Shakira have a little brother or something? I don't know. Get that guy.
yeah. It's always hard because you don't necessarily think of like, oh man, okay, this person would be exactly like me in this sense, or how do you want someone to do you justice in that way?
Yeah. I mean, I know who I would wish for.
Well, who would you wish for?
Vince Vaughn.
Oh, okay, yeah, that would be actually a
I don't,
really fun
I
one.
don't know if it would be, proper, but it would be, but if I had my way, I would cast Vince Vaughn to play me.
Well, it is your movie, so you get to do whatever you want, really. Yeah, Vince Vaughn
Yeah.
fun actually. Now you have some shows coming up, if I'm not mistaken. You're playing at
Yeah. So we're
North.
playing the Rivoli in Toronto
Yeah.
on Friday, June 21st. We're playing the band called Hot Lips. They're headlining, and a band called The Primitive Evolution. That's going to be a killer show here in Toronto. And then we leave and we play a tour of record shops in Portugal.
Okay.
So there's a chain of record stores that have venues in them.
Nice.
Um, and, we're doing something like 2 weeks or so out of like 15 shows or something like that, just down the country. And like in these record shops, there's like, a bar and a stage and a PA. It's like, it's really cool.
That is kind of
So
yeah.
we're doing a tour of those record shops and a couple of evening gigs there. And then we come back and we play Toronto again on, I think we're playing the 27th of July. It's called Ozfest,
Okay.
but not to be confused with
Yeah.
Oz with Z's. But with S's, it's the Ozzington like Street Fest.
Hmm.
And that's huge and always like the best like summer party. So we're coming back for that on the 27th of July. Yeah, June 21st, we're playing Toronto and then we take off.
Yeah. So you got some nice, fun summer stuff going on.
Yeah, it's gonna be killer. We're gonna be like, filming all of it and like, keeping everyone up to date with what's going on, putting our
Okay.
phones on live and stuff so you can see all the craziness. Like one time we were there, I drove a van through like a two-way street under like a small like pedestrian bridge or something, and I don't know how this is even possible, but like it literally like jammed on either side, and like
You were stuck
like did
almost.
that, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So I'm sure like other craziness will happen, like just on like the European roads.
Yeah. Yeah. I fully expect to see some videos out of that. I think that
All right, you'll be tagged.
okay, a couple more questions before we
Yeah,
run out
man.
of time so Zoom doesn't kick us off here. What do you hope people take away from your music?
I think I think my personally my biggest kind of like I guess message is just to kind of like forget about life for the time that you listen to us. It's like life's not that serious all the time. And I think a purpose to go see a live show. If you come see us live, you're gonna like hopefully forget about everything outside that door for like the 45-minute set or whatever,
Hmm.
and then just enjoy a night of like energy and music. And hopefully that transmits through listening to the music as well online or however you listen to it. So I think it's really about that. I don't really have any like strong lessons to give or like advice, like life lessons or advice. I don't think I'm in a position to do that, but I hope that we give off some kind of energy and inspiration through the music in that way.
Hmm. I think
That's
everyone
the
though
hope.
is has advice they can give from their experiences that someone else might be going through. So don't sell yourself short. I'm sure you got some wisdom in there somewhere.
My advice is like, man, start a band. It is the best thing in the world.
Yeah. I wish I did
um,
that when I was younger, to be honest. I started playing the drums and things like that, and then just
like
never like I'm more into like art. Like I used to design tattoos. I was gonna go
oh,
work
like
for Disney once upon a time, and
amazing.
so I just didn't follow that music path. But that
Yeah,
music
yeah,
is such a big part of my life. Like I need it all the time. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, any creative outlet is a gift, man. So that's awesome. And yeah, I just think like I don't know if I were to say anything, it'd be like don't care about what anyone else is doing. Just like do your thing.
mhm. Yeah.
Because the worst thing you could do is start watching like singing competitions and getting down on yourself and like like don't do that.
Yeah, those those can be detrimental.
That
Sure.
that is an inspiration killer.
Hmm. So what motivates you to keep going on then?
I don't know. Thinking I'm really, really good.
I mean, if you didn't think you were good, I suppose you wouldn't be doing this, right?
I'm half joking. I don't know. It's just like really loving it. Even the downs, even the crappiest parts of things are still great. And
Mhm.
we're still so fortunate to have people interview us, to have people come to a show, to have you care about what we have to say. So yeah, of course, there's always like the speed bumps and the things you hate in the process. Those
Yeah.
are all so tiny and compared to the what the fulfillment you get from it, man. It's like, yeah,
Mm.
something about it.
Yeah, for sure. What's the next milestone you're hoping to hit?
Milestone again. I don't know,
Could be
like,
anything, really.
yeah, like new music that I'm more like into, or like, I don't know, like maybe yeah, I don't know.
It's so hard to really plan out
Yeah,
milestones
because it
because
doesn't even matter. Some of the best shows we've had have had like such tiny audiences, but they're so feeling it. Like there's like this man who discovered us, I guess, online. He brought his daughter to a show, and
okay.
he just like met us before we went on. He's like, I just had to bring my daughter because I knew she was like, I'm a little older, but like I want to bring my daughter because she's like all into this genre, and I have to show her, your band or whatever. And it's like, and this was like in Peterborough where we don't have a huge fan base, and there wasn't a ton of people there, or in Peterborough, Ontario, with a small audience, but they are so like just taking it all in, right? So
Yeah.
that's a huge milestone. It's one of our tiniest shows.
Yeah, those music scenes where you get into the smaller areas, they're so dedicated usually,
It's the
and they
best.
love everything that comes
Yeah,
around.
yeah,
We don't see enough of that anymore.
yeah. Yeah,
Well,
for
man,
it.
that's all the points I have written down here. It was great to get to pick your brain and
Dude, it was a
make
pleasure to talk to you.
sure. I'm always down to do this again when you guys have some new stuff coming up, and we'll definitely.
Amazing.
Oh, here we go.
Uh-oh. Oh, Axel Rose is in the building.
See, I said right at the end she'll pop in.
Axel made it.
I'm so sorry.
All right, say hello.
You can take one, I'll take
All
it.
right, sure.
I'm so sorry. Traffic is horrible.
That's more than fine. I know life happens.
Oh, God, how are you?
Good. How about you?
Good, good, good. I'm just like running and I'm like the most out of shape person ever. So I really tried.
Well, we had a nice conversation and got to learn a little bit more about what you guys do in the world, and we can definitely do this again at some point for
All
sure.
right. Okay, cool.
But yeah, like Zoom's gonna kick us off shortly. So where can people find you guys on social media?
Uh, I think everything is just the Manic Boys and Girls Club. So
Yeah.
like at the Manic Boys and Girls Club /Facebook / the Manic Boys and Girls Club. Spotify is just the Manic Boys and Girls Club. Yeah, man.
Well, we'll make sure we link some of these things so people can find you. And I definitely hope to get out to see you guys live at some point. And
Amazing. I hope
maybe
we
a
get to
show.
Ottawa.
Yeah, I mean, I do get out to Toronto some points too, but the busy summer right now, festivals coming up and that. So
Yeah. If you're around end of June, I don't know if my brother already told you, but we could definitely get you on that guest list for June 21st. It's gonna be a cool night.
I might be at a festival here in Ottawa for that, but if
Oh,
not, then I'll definitely see about making it out for sure.
awesome. Just let us know. We'll hook it up.
Yeah, 100%. Anyways, guys, we'll end it now and we'll keep in touch because I definitely want to do this again at some point.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you so
Likewise, man.
much.
All right, guys, have a good one.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.